buying. Joining me now to discuss, Bianco Research President Jim Bianco. Jim, you've been pretty steadfast that Powell and company, they're on a mission. And you know, listen, if it involves crashing the economy, so be it. They want to crush inflation at all costs. And for investors, not paying attention has been a big mistake. And you actually laid it out pretty nicely in the chart. You're underscoring the differences right now where the Fed sees the rates and eventually what they call the terminal rate and what Wall Street sees. And it's a big gulf in between them. Somewhere, though, that has to come together. Somewhere soon, I would think, enough evidence would be out there to have a uniform idea between the Fed and Wall Street. Yes.
That chart, what it suggests is because Wall Street has a much lower view of where interest rates are going to be than the Fed has been articulating, that there is going to be more turbulence in 2023 as we figure out whether or not the market has to readjust its interest rates upward or the Fed has to come downward. And of course, one would be bullish if the Fed came downward and bearish if it went upward. And in the meantime, we're getting ourselves all worked up because of all of the data that we got. Your summary was excellent as far as all the data shows, you know, that consumer confidence is where it is. You mentioned CarMax. I might also throw in Micron Technologies is also basically reporting some terrible numbers that they're all of a sudden, Charles, there's a glut of semiconductors. Remember, you couldn't buy a car a year ago because they didn't have enough semiconductors. Now they have more than they know what to do with, which also implies a slowdown in the economy. And if the Fed's going to hold to, well, we're going to go to 5% and hold to 5% all year, I think this is why the market's getting very nervous.
And so it's not really an inflation from 3 months ago, is that maybe recession is on our doorstep. Now, you know, and again, you pointed this out so much and so often that it's a fool's errand, right, to keep sort of hoping for the pivot. I saw that one meme you put out with the donkey and the carrot in front of it. Great stuff. But at what point, like, it's tough, right, for people to hang in there. The market's getting hammered. They're not sure what to do. You know, at what point do you think, okay, we can start to sort of make an educated guess then?
Yeah, you're right, because the problem people are going to have with this market is it's kind of upside down, right? They're cheering for bad news. Please get worse, because then the Fed will pivot and then the market will go up. I never remember in my career, or maybe you can correct me, when was the last time everybody wanted things to go bad because that was going to make stocks go up? But that's kind of where we're at in this market, and that's what makes it difficult. And the problem is going to be, what if it doesn't go bad in the first half of next year? What if the data hangs in there? The market's going to be disappointed that the Fed's not going to be bringing rates down, as opposed to relieved that earnings are going to hold up. This is what's going to make it hard, and this is what my fear is. I'm actually somewhat optimistic on the economy. It's not going to fall apart in the first half of the year, and that could actually pose a problem.
It's a perverse and decidedly not necessarily brave new world. Hey, I got less than a minute to go, but I got to ask you before you go. Sam Bankman-Fried, he's out on bail, $250 million bond. Golly. You know, we've talked a lot about how this whole story is going to be usurped. It's not going to be, you know, well, some papers will talk about the megalomaniac, but really crypto is going to be front and center. And it's not new, right? I mean, take a look at this. This is from the World Economic Forum in 2017, actually saying, hey, crypto is going to use up, Bitcoin is going to use up all the power in the world. That was an excuse back then to get rid of Bitcoin. There's always been an excuse after another. Now it's going to be, it's associated with crime, as if crime was invented when Bitcoin was invented. Just your thoughts as we start to see this play out, and all of a sudden this guy, SBF, comes up with $250 million.
Yeah, his net worth supposedly a couple of weeks ago was $100,000. I guess he's better than you and me, Charles, and he can find $250 million in 2 weeks. But you're right. The bigger issue here is I'd like to say, what SBF did is as old as time. It was stealing customer money and fraud. Yeah. That is not a crypto story. That is a crime story. But we're using that as an excuse to regulate crypto. And this is the problem that crypto is going to face as it goes forward. Part of it is people don't understand it. And as far as that thing about, you know, the energy consumption of Bitcoin, look at the energy consumption of the thousands and thousands of bank branches that have to be heated over the winter. There's a lot of energy consumption there, and I don't hear the World Economic Forum being worried about that. So, yeah, you could pick and choose whatever statistic you want. And right now, crypto's going to be on its heels, and it's going to stay there for a while.
It will, but that just underscores in my mind just why are these powerful people so afraid of it. It makes me more intrigued by it. Jim, thank you so much. I always appreciate your great work.
Happy holidays.
You too. Hey, I want to bring in now